Hi guys, my name is Jarod Villalon. I am a first generation college student studying photography and art history at the University of North Texas. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a background about myself before we go ahead and get started. So I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and I actually was fortunate enough to go to a school in high school that had a really good photography program. We had a dark room and we also were able to shoot digital as well. So that is actually where I found my love for the medium and really kind of was starting to gather that I was gravitating towards this maybe as like a career. So in high school, especially, I was really into portraiture and inspired by fashion photography. Um, Growing up with social media um, constantly around, it was really easy for me to kind of look for inspiration from social media and artists posting their work on there. So that was something that was really big for me then. I slowly started to move in the direction of industrial design and like industrial and urban photography and scenes. I really, really enjoyed just like the most simple things for some reason, like street lights or grates or like railroad tracks or something like that. Those things really kind of stuck out to me, I guess, against all of the other sort of more organic backgrounds that I was used to. And then recently, as I've come into being a college student and being a senior in college, I think like these last 4 years of school have been difficult for me to really pinpoint what my concentration is about or what I wanted to take photos of, or like when somebody asked me like, what do I like to take photos of? It always kind of stumped me. And I guess I've thought about it a lot and just kind of looking at like a culmination of my images in this sort of way made me realize that I'm really focused on dreamlike imagery and moments of impermanence or like fleeting moments, things that really feel familiar, but aren't necessarily personal to the viewer. So kind of like deja vu in a way. Um, but yeah, I really love that sort of like questionable imagery, like what am I looking at? Where is this? When did this take place? Who is this? What are they doing? Kind of things. I think that those things really uh, grab the viewer's attention and kind of makes them study the images more and appreciate the details and almost kind of helps them use their imagination to create their own storyline. I'm definitely inspired by artists like Gregory Crutzen. Obviously his scenes are a lot more elaborate and planned, but I think that just like that large scale, wide angled view on the world is really, really cool and something that I hope that I can kind of gravitate towards as I get a little bit older and more experienced in the field. Typically with my process, it starts with me scouting out locations, just like driving around or walking around, I'll kind of notice um, scenes here and there, and things will stick out to me, and I'll make notes of them so that I can come back to it later and maybe look at it at a different time of day and see like what kind of light it has, what kind of shadows are going on, stuff like that. And then from there, I typically will try and set a scene with myself or with the model. And a lot of my images, I actually am featured in the images, and I use myself as like a model a lot of the times. But let's see. A lot of the times I'll go to these locations with this certain intention or this certain scene in mind, and then I'll take a few images and then one image will stem off of another or a certain pose or a certain reflection or something like that will really grab my attention and keep me um, kind of trying to work towards something else that I wasn't really intending on getting, which I think is really cool because I've talked about this before. I really like how you can intend to create and make this one specific thing, but then maybe something doesn't go exactly how you planned it to go, or you know, something just fell through, and then you end up with these other set of circumstances, and you end up creating something that you actually like a lot more, or that feels a lot more solid. So I think that that is um, something that you definitely can't just kind of be like, I'm gonna go out and capture these moments. It's has to be over time. Like these photos are all over the course of probably about 4 years, starting from whenever I was a freshman in college to right up against, or right up until this semester of my senior year, this second to last semester of my senior year. But a lot of my images tend to not really feature too much identity or give too much away about the subject if there is a human subject in them. And I think that that really helps kind of push this surrealist kind of like disorientating composition that I really think makes my work complete.